So just like we did when we were in BLG1501, I just want to start with the introduction of the different types of questions that you can expect in the exam, which are quantitative questions and multiple choice question and essay questions. Like we're still gonna go unpack this as we goes on, but I just wanna indicate what questions are these, which are these, and we're still gonna unpack how you're gonna tackle with these questions in the few weeks to come, in the next sessions to come. So then when answering a question, you need to this is uh just tips and friendly advice. We need to read all the questions directly, carefully, read each questions carefully, and if allowed to underline the keywords. And I know sometimes, because like particularly in this case, most of your exams will be done online, but you can do yourself a favor, just write down some key aspect when you are reading the question, so that you can be able to have the gist and have the understanding of the question. Because sometimes it's not whether you know the answer, sometimes it's whether you understand the question, if you understand the question easily. And sometimes, especially in multiple choice question, I always say this, sometimes what will help you mostly is not the fact that you know the answer, but you also know which one is not the right answer. So answer the easy question first, although I will say all the questions are easy. For all of you gonna be attending here, all of the question will be easy. Somebody will say no, but skip the questions that you think that you not sure of, mark them and come back later. That helps always, so that whenever we have to do time management, there will be so many times you don't want to do yourself that issue in, what do you call that movie, where you don't finish, Three Idiots. Those who watch that movie, where you find yourself that you exceeded the amount of time for reading, and then the system kicks you out for that particular matter or anything like that, especially if you're using with technological advancement and things like that. The advice will be, make sure that you try by all means to finish before time, before the time exceeds, so that there could not be any glitches where you'll find that I did not in previous sessions. We are always come back, people sending me WhatsApps, email, and say there was an issue with this and this and this and this. I could not submit because of due to this internet connection and all that. So before, other than making sure that you familiarize yourself with the learning mechanisms that you're gonna use to write the exam, also make sure that you do have a proper time management, that you will be able to finish within the allocated time frame. And one of the steps and mechanisms that you can use to make sure that you can is to skip questions that you are not sure of and come back to them later. Don't misunderstand me. Say he said we should pass them, and then go ahead, and then you say you didn't finish because that tutor guy said we should pass them. No, pass them, skip them, and then come back to them later. And if you don't have, if you have time, then you can go back to the question that you mark, but you definitely have to have all the time. Do not go back to every question, refer to the one that you are unsure of. Do not second guess yourself. Change an answer only if you are absolutely sure your first answer was wrong, or the odds are in your favor that your first answer was right. So this is in the case where you are not particularly sure about your answer, which I do not expect you guys to be not particularly sure about your answer. But because things do happen, but whenever you have a slight chance idea of what kind of an answer it is, the first instinct, you're probably going to be right. Make sure you have answered all the questions. I did mention this earlier in BLG 1501, that the chances is that one There can be maybe a spelling error in the questions or whatever. There's an error that they asked the wrong question, which doesn't make sense, or there was an ambiguity in the questions that they ask. And most of the time, when they want to re-amend that or make amends to that, they always said, you know what, because we could not pick it up before students write an exam, and we only pick it up after student has written exam. The only amendment that they could do is to give 3 marks for that particular question. But there's also a condition on that. You will find that it will tell the people who are marking the script to say in question so and so, question 10, question 3.4, question whatever, there was a mistake in the questioning. So give every student a mark who has written something. If you have skipped that question and did not write anything, you will find that they will say you do not qualify to get those free marks. So please write all the answer, make sure that you answer all the question. And that also helps with also the keywords in terms, because most of the essay question or some questions, there's a key on the memorandum. In that memorandum, they always give directive to the people who are marking that look for a certain keywords. When you look for certain keywords, if the students write something which is similar, or in the paragraph, if there's the student put climate change or biodiversity or genetic diversity or chemical diversity or chemical bond or photosynthesis or chloroplast, give the student the maximum marks, and you stand a good chance of getting those if you have written something. So there's always a case where there's you can sense the tone of a person who is guessing but who was attending these sessions, and a person who is guessing but who was not attending these sessions. Why? Because there is always a level of understanding. You guys who have been attending these sessions, you will have you I don't expect you guys to be in the dark completely in certain questions. So there's questions that you put a guess, but your guess will be much understandable. Then we'll come to the categories where we talk about comparative questions, comprehension questions, which the example are the questions such as define and describe, and analysis question, where the example will be your list, which depends on the context, listing steps in a process that can be analysis, explain, compare, and differences between. And also a question such as categories of exam, which are like the categories of comparison, which are questions that test your basic understanding of factual information, which includes multiple choice. For example, which of the following is not a reactant in photosynthesis? Either A, B, C, or D, and then you give an answer. There's also type of questions such as true or false in the comprehension. Another category will be application, which are questions that ask you to apply your knowledge to solve problems or answer scenario based on the question. This will include your analyzed data, where, for example, they can give perhaps a graph that shows the rate of photosynthesis at a different intensity to explain the trend. The other example will be to design an experiment, where you will be requested or required to design an experiment to test how different wavelengths of light affects photosynthesis. This is just an example. Another category will include analysis, which these questions require you to break down information, identify relationship, and demonstrate critical thinking. Your example will be to compare and contrast. And another example will be the questions such as explain the importance, where you explain the importance, such as importance of photosynthesis in life and earth. For comparison and contrast, they such as compare and contrast the process of photosynthesis in plants and chemosynthesis in bacteria, or compare and contrast the differences between plant cell and animal cell, or abiotic factors or biotic factors, or green algae or a normal algae in that regard. Another category will be evaluation, where these questions ask you to judge the value of merits of something based on the biological principle. For example, there will be a question such as evaluate the claim that artificial lights can be completely replaced by sunlight for plant for growth. And also another category will be scientists, which are the questions that requires to combine the information from different sources to create a new understanding or answer. These include questions such as develop a hypothesis. We did something about a hypothesis in previous sessions, where you develop a hypothesis to explain why some plants are better adapted to low light environments than the others. The last category will be a matching, where you match the following terms with the definition. They will give either column A or B, which will have the definition, or another column will have the explanation, and then you have to match that kind of following, and with the example below. So these are the examples of the categories of questions. We'll also, in the next session, go deeper into when they say explain, what do you need to do? When they say define, how do you need to define or attribute to that? Or what's the difference between when you're explaining a structure or you're defining the structure? You have to extrapolate and give an abstract of that particular structure with the processes, and the steps which are there. But when you are defining, you are just describing, and you're just giving the outline of what that particular structure is, or what that particular process is, in just one straight terminology, which is straightforward. Any question before we go to the quiz? Complete the following statements. You're just going to have to complete the following statements. These are not just definition per se, but these are just incomplete statements. I hope you get what I'm trying to say, or you get the question. Complete the following statements. Archaea differ from bacteria in that they, and just a disclaimer, I just put different questions from different subjects. Some of them we might have talked about before, but some of them I'm sure most of you in your studies, when you're studying, you might have already covered it with your studies. Anyone? In fact, are you guys here? I haven't heard anybody speaking. You might find or you are with people. Plenty people are already watching Omnibus of 7 to learn. Are you guys here? Can you just mute yourself and say we are here? Not to give an answer.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We are here.
Yes.
That's good to know. Okay. Yeah, anybody who wanna give it a try? Don't overthink yourself. Just shoot from the hip. The previous session, I know we haven't talked about the gram stain. We haven't talked about the gram stain. I omit some questions which include the gram positive and gram negative. I know we haven't talked about we did talk about the fleshy flowering flower seed developer. We did talk about that. So a care will be because can form methanogen. Archaea differ from bacteria in that they can form methanogen in that. So when we do go through those slides, that's why I always said there's no such thing called a meaningless word when we are going through those slides. So browse on them, because you never know that your examiner might want to just throw in one or two questions that you will be like, I'm sure I know that I've put one for the nail, that in order for them to get it, they should dig deep in order for them to get it. Okay, the other one is the primary function. Ignore the numbering. Please don't worry about the numbering. Ignore them. The primary function of fruit is to that one sounds like it's easy.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Good. I think the primary function of the fruit is to supply the supply food to the plant when it's growing before it become a mature sporophyte. I don't know if I'm not butchering the name.
Yeah. So even here there are like different conclusions that you can base. Anybody else want to give the primary function of fruit?
Good morning, sir.
Yes, morning.
I believe the primary function of the food is to produce seeds. To produce
Okay,
and
I
so
like that one. Yes, I like that one. I see there's somebody who put something on the chat. What did you say? To protect the seeds. That's the primary function. So you both right, but there is to also disperse the seeds as the primary function. If you go through all that notes that we have done, the slides that we have, you'll find when they're talking about the fruit, there will be a statement where they like the function of this is to do. So the main way in that pine trees disperse their offspring is by using. I know why this is sounding like it's difficult to get, because this is not, they are not saying define the following terms or give the one terminology to describe this. It's just a statement. It's just a statement where you just have to complete it. It's a statement on its own. And the issue, the problem with the statement is that it's not that the other statement, it does not compare to against other statements. It stands on its own. It just means that where it is, you just have to put it as it is. You have to complete how it is. I'm not sure if I'm making sense. Or there could be, when they're talking about the function of fruit, there are different types of function. Dispersing of the space of seeds is not the only function. There are other functions of fruit, but they're saying there's a statement which describes that the primary function of fruit is to disperse seeds, and it follow up with other different functions. So you need to have known about this. You need to have information about the function of fruit. Anybody who wanna go for the main way that pine trees disperse their offspring is by wind-blown seeds. A seed developed from, we did this one. This one I know we did. This will be in 3, 2, 1. Go. This will be a seed developed from a fertilized ovule. The flower part that develop into a fleshy fruit is when we're doing those life cycles. There's somebody who said ovule, and there's somebody who said ovary. Ovule, ovary, anybody who has a different, or do we second them? All right, I think you are right. Congratulations. Next time, unmute yourself. The ovary is the ovary. Then the grain. Remember, this is not definition. It's just a statement. You're just completing the following statements. You're just completing the following statements. The grain stain is a procedure that microbiologists use to. So the grain stain is a procedure that the microbiologists use to infer structure of the bacterial cell wall and the bacteria response to antibiotics. All right, let's proceed. The characteristics of plants which is absent in their closest relative, the charophyte, is you have no equal now and forever. Anyone? Don't make me sing, guys. I can hear the radio which is playing far away because you are too quiet. The characteristics of plants which is absent in their closest relatives, the charophyte, is then the answer will be the alteration of generation. When you get hold of this will be your key when you study. Go to those notes that you have, your study materials that you have, and then go ahead with this and go ahead to previous question paper and just check the tone in which your examiner will try to give on the, because probably if it's an online exam, they're going to bring questions which is going to be visual. They're going to be giving a lot, just as much as if somebody just said you don't going to be expected to narrate or cram all the words so that they could give the words, but you're gonna have to know some of them, some of each, which is gonna help you to understand. An unknown organism was found in the park. It was one cell, had no nuclear membrane around its DNA. We talked about it. Contained no mitochondria, no chloroplast. It belongs to the group. Those three groups, which ones do they belong to?
Prokaryotes.
Or
Bacteria, algae.
okay, somebody said bacteria or archaea. Anybody else? Oh, you can't use your mic. Okay, sorry about that. Bacteria,
Prokaryotes.
archaea. Two different types of bacteria. Okay, prokaryotes. Somebody said prokaryotes, bacteria. Think the answer. The team that wins is, it's not Sundowns, it's the team bacteria or archaea. What characteristic is not evolutionary trend for plants? Listen to the question. What characteristics is not an the question is not what characteristic is an evolutionary trend. The one which is not evolutionary trend for plants.
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. Anyone else? Somebody on the chat box said the development of centralized nervous system. We've got two different questions. Anybody want to give a verdict?
I think respiration, or I'm forgetting the other term.
Respiration. So look into there's that topic where we did how plants colonize land and others. When we were talking about the evolutionary traits, how is the these traits are developed into evolutionary. So think about something which is not. I think you guys are going for things which are the traits which are evolved, so that the one that everyone, but they are asking about something which is not a trait, characteristic which is not a trait for plants. Its ability to become seedless or not have being able to have seeds is the answer. Unfortunately, it's not me, it's in your notes. So don't look at me like that. I know. Then land plants no longer require water as a medium for production with the evolution of
Xylem and phloem.
all right. I think you are right. Anyone else? Of the seeds and pollen. You said pollen, right? Or pollen?
No, I was completely wrong, sir. I said phloem. I was in regard with the vascular tissues.
Yeah. But I had pollen. I thought you said pollen. You said pollen or phloem?
Phloem.
Okay. That's what I said, right? So it's seeds and pollen, land plants no longer. So these are land plants. So evolutionary adaptation that help diverse animal exchange matter with the environment include
Lungs, gills.
There's another one who said lungs, gills, flagella in gametes. Then the student number. Okay, this the evolutionary adaptation that helps. Either there's something that we're gonna have to go and do here. Digestive system and excretory system. I think yeah, this one is close. Anybody else? I'm sure we're going to take this and go and confirm with each other. There's either his memorandum is wrong or we are wrong. The external respiratory surface, the small size, and the two-layered body. You know what? Let's when you get a hold of this, please go through those. I understand that some of the things maybe we haven't touched upon, but please use this as a key to direct you to which side you can be able to study and which one can you. Can we go to something which is 1, 2 question, 1, 2, 3 questions, which I'm sure you guys will be able to answer, and then we'll go back to the difficult one, I'm sure. How does the system of binomial nomenclature minimize ambiguity in the naming and identification of species? This is the one question that is recurring all over, but they're just using different approach, but it's the same question that you know. I will assume that you're still answering the old question when you talk about osmoregulation. This can you're not answering A, right? It's a previous one. I'll ask you. Anyone? 3, 2, 1. So the system of binomial nomenclature avoid ambiguity in the naming of the species because it assigns unique two-part name to each species. So that's how. So ambiguity will be your not when there's no clarity. They always tell you, even in law, that they said the ambiguity in contract favors the person who did not draft the contract. So you always have to avoid statements or situation in which there's not going to be clarity to say, you know, the fact that you are right does not mean that I am wrong. Then there's an ambiguity in that kind of statement. So in order to avoid the ambiguity, one statement, one have to have any particular statement and unique statement and unique answer. So one has to say it assign. I'll assume that you also have done your mic also is not working, because I'm only allowing people who are texting here on the chat box who are seeing their microphone are not working, but nevertheless, it's okay. She said it's okay. Let me not say he or she said it assign a unique two-part name to the species. That is true. Each species has a two unique name that distinguishes it from other species. That is true. You're going to the next one. Yes. Now let's go to the answer question 2. Are the following scientific name correct, and give reasons? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's start with 1. Is it correct?
No.
Why? Why did you say it's not correct?
While we're waiting for a reason of why she says no.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
you can go. You can go. Sorry about that.
I think it's correct. Why? Because if it's not italicized, we were told that we should underline. I don't know if I still remember very well.
Isn't the correct
Spelling. I think many people are worried about the spelling. Did I put the wrong spelling there?
it's not spelling. Isn't it supposed to be okay? No, it's fine.
No, come. Let's
It's camel fun tree, maybe.
I see there are people who are like I put acacia Areoloba. Areoloba, the scientific name is incorrect. The correct scientific name is for the tree commonly known as camel thorn is Acacia areoloba. Did I put the wrong spelling? You think so?
And the wrong name, Arialoba. It's not
Mine
supposed
is,
to be A.
it's supposed to be only E. E.
It's ARIO Loba.
I'll double check that. I'll double check. If then it's a, if then there's a, I can open my slide because it will reveal all the answers. Okay, let's do all of them. Then we'll come back to the one. So if it's wrong, the only thing which is gonna be wrong is only the spelling. Are we all agreeing?
Yes.
Okay. Panthera padas.
On that one, I think it's wrong because it's not italized and it's not underlined. Yes, we do have capital later on Panthera, but it's not underlined or italized.
Yeah. So the name has been spelled correctly, spelled both genus and epithet should be either italiced or you are right on that. Then somebody gonna have to read this one for me. Opisthatus ventralis. Somebody said Opisthatus ventralis. This is the scientific name, is correct. It refers to a genus of like lizard species. Okay. So it's correct, this one. We are all in agreement. Okay, yes, all the rules have been followed in that regard. And Homo sapi?
Spelling is wrong, sir.
It's
Homo
incorrect, sir.
sapiens.
The spelling is wrong, yeah. The name must always be spelled. So we still have a duty to know the correct spelling of these individuals. So when you go prepare, make sure that you also are aware of the right spelling of this, especially the one that you have recorded in your notes and all that, so that you don't say that, where should I know the spelling? Me, where should I know the spelling? No, you are supposed to know. And how does taxonomic hierarchy help biologists organize information about different species? This is still the same question that we've done before. I think there's a conversation that we are invited to. Or they decided to mute themselves, yeah. How does a taxonomic hierarchy help biologists organize information about the different species? Okay, let's go. List the major taxonomic categories from the most least to inclusive. Yes. I think there's another one who is gracious enough to give us the answer for the first one. The taxonomic hierarchy help biologists organize information about you will pay me when, because I'm reading a lot. The taxonomic hierarchy helps biologists organize information about different species because it categorizes them into increasingly inclusive groups. Let's see. The taxonomic hierarchy helps biologists information about different species because it categorizes them into increasingly inclusive taxonomic groups. Exactly as it is in my notes. It is in your slides. Species that are included in a lower taxonomic category share many characteristics, whereas those included only has the same higher category shared fewer characteristics. And this one is simple. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Please, whenever you prepare, go through this question. How does taxonomic help biologists information? It's always going to be there. And the first one, this one. Make sure that, I don't know how you should do it. If you need to cram this, which when we send them, you do, just do this, but don't get into the exam room without knowing. these questions. Is that right? Is it fine?
Yes.
Cool. Then let's proceed. Distinguish between phylogeny and systematics. You guys received your first batch of the slides, right? This week. Did you? The BLG guys, BLG1501 guys did the code one. I'll check it. The email is Zaluna.
Yeah, no, so we do checks. We did, and I'm even looking at one of the files here, and it does have
Okay, cool. Okay.
the question is asking for.
Yeah, okay. Distinguish between phylogeny and systematics. For phylogeny. Yes.
I just wanted to give it a try.
Yeah, okay, please.
On phylogeny, I think phylogeny is the study of the ancestral relationship between organisms. Where does an organism emerge from? Then, when it comes to systematics, systematics is the study of how close an organism is to another, the characteristics that in a certain species to comparing to another species. I don't know.
Yeah. This is a fair question, by the way. This is a fair question because they really look. If they come across, it's easy for you to say you are describing, and I know you know this, but it's easy to describe systematics while you think you're describing phylogeny. We all make that error in once in a while. I'm not even gonna lie and say I was not part of a victim like that in some case or the other. So, but you are right, phylogeny is the history of a species or group of related member species. But when we talk about systematic, it's the study of just the biological diversity of an environmental context encompassing taxonomy, which involve reconstruction of phylogenetic history in all of that. So, but phylogeny is the history of a relatedness of species. But in terms of systematics, is the context of the bigger picture, which is including taxonomy and all involving all the reconstruction. In some cases, they will even go further and say differentiate between phylogeny, systematics, and taxonomy. And you've got these things in your thing. So you might be like, what is this guy thinking now? He's asking one particular, it's one thing, this thing that he's asking and all that. As we see here, it's not. So when you go through your notes and all that, also have an emphasis of this. Compare this with your notes and be able to, I know you have different notes, and compare this with them. What is this diagram looking for now? Yes, here. In the diagram, in the following cladogram, this is a cladogram. Which node occurred earliest in time? Remember when we said they might not need you to draw, but the diagram will appear.
I think the English, How it's asked here is a little bit tricky, but I think it's one, the earliest. If I'm not sure. Yeah, but
They
I think
always
it's
do that.
the
Why
late.
can't they just come straight?
I want to confuse to fail.
Remember that time when that guy was answering questions somewhere, I won't tell you where, and he was like, when you come to me, don't meander. If you meander, I will also meander. Come straight. And people yeah, but unfortunately that's how life is. They don't ask these things straight. Anybody wanna give it a try? Somebody said node one. Anybody who wanna? Yes, you're so quiet today. Are we fighting? Node one, somebody typed. All right, I think, yeah, since the common ancestor is located at the base, you are right. It's one, node one. See, in the cladogram for the question B, so he does not want to give you the fact that, because he's smart, he does not want to say in the cladogram node one, because he knows that if he said node one, you are gonna be like, oh, because he skipped. The answer for B is node one. I got it. So he even go for the question B, the one that you get, which node represent the most recent common ancestor in terminal tags are B and C.
I think it's C.
Which one did you say?
C.
You said
I want
C.
to.
No, I think the node, right? You just gonna have to be like node between node 1, 2, and 3. Use those ones.
They talk about
I think it's two.
the taxa B and C. That is what how I read the question now.
Mm.
Which node represents the most recent common ancestor of terminal taxa B and C? So
Mm.
C is most recent.
No, the nodes are 1, 2, and 3, so it has to be 2.
I second two also.
Anyone?
Node 3.
Yeah. Yeah, this is gonna spark a discussion that I'm gonna like a lot. But the actual answer, unfortunately or fortunately, it's true. But there is a good question that my sister is asking here. So what do I know that which one is the earliest and which one is the ancient between node 1, 2, and 3?
Okay, 1 is the most ancient,
Mm-hmm.
3 is the earliest. But now, the reason why we're not saying 3 is because it's between B and C.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that's between B and C is 2. 3 is between C and D.
So is it clear, my sister?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So between 1 and, but because it's is between 2 and 3. So the one which is the represent the most recent one will be 2. Because they are not asking for the whole, they specifically say between which represent the terminal taxa B and C. Then which one are we going to now? Is D. In the cladogram for question B, for now B now, this will, okay, this one will call it B. Please forgive this diagram B. Which terminal taxon B is most closely related to A or C? Which terminal taxon B? Taxon B, this one. Which terminal taxon is B more closely related to? Which one is B closely related to? Is it either A or C?
C.
I also side with C.
It is A.
You care to explain why you're saying A?
It's a shell, common ancestor.
Okay. My good brother who first said it's C, do you care to explain why it is C?
Based on my understanding, the ones on the right, okay, going from D to A, they become less and less closely related.
Because they started from node 1, which is the ancient one.
Yes.
And then when you're going this and this, you're going for the recent one, which is the recent description. Is it clear now? So from here is from 1 to node 1 is the ancient one. This is the first one that the common is the earliest, which one we're coming. So when in the earliest when we're coming, that's when individuals are losing traits or characteristics. But when we're going upward and upward, why? Because it's also, even in research, they will ask you this: why do you use this? The earlier that we are, the more we have technological tools that we can be able to map or to be able to infer and be able to have attributes to see this is the common ancestor. They have characteristics. They have more quality characteristics that they can be qualitative to, they can be quantified them to in that regard. Which one are we going to now? We are going to E, right? Explain how shared derived. Remember, we did talk about the shared derived characteristic, I think in the second session or third session or first session, I think. Explain how shared derived characteristic can be used to construct a phylogenetic diagram. But are we still clear on the cladogram? Or should I, next time in the next session, we should also do another one? Exercise to explain more about the cladogram. So the biologists hypothesize that all chromosomes were inherited from the same ancestor. It is possible that one of the descendants, one chromosome became 2, or one chromosome became 1. Therefore, they can conclude that there is an evolutionary history between two species. Just give us something about the fact that they're trying to track the fact that there is a history between particular species, that these species are connected to each other in one form or the other. Describe the evidence that suggests that there is a universal tree of life. Remember, we did talk about the universal tree of life in one slide. In the chat box, let me read. What can I do? BLG1502 students. They type, phylogeny refers, okay, that's all one. Phylogeny refers to the evolutionary history and relationship among organisms, typically depicted in a phylogenetic tree that shows evolutionary connection between different species or groups of organisms. It focuses on the evolutionary pathway, common ancestors. I think we get the idea. And then let's talk about the evidence. The evidence, you said, the evidence, the universal tree of life include genetic similarities. All living organisms share common genetic code, suggesting common ancestry. Universal biomolecules, molecules like DNA and RNA, are found in all known life forms, indicating a shared evolutionary history. Conserved metabolic pathway. Many functional metabolic pathways are conserved across different organisms, implying common origin. Fossil records could transitional fossil provide evidence of evolutionary links between different groups of organisms, supporting the idea of universal tree of life. She summed of that the tree of life based on ribosome. All life on Earth can be placed in one or three major categories, leading to biologists to believe that all form started in common ancestor. All right, you're going to hate me more on the next one. Distinguish between chitning and peptidoglycan.
I think chitnin, it's a polysaccharide, and a peptidoglycan is a molecule which does have a peptide bond, as in it does have some amino acid molecule attached to the glucose molecule, maybe.
The chitning, you got it right, correctly. So the chitning is a structural polysaccharide consisting of amino sugar monomers found in many fungal cells wall, and it's responsible for building material for their cell wall. While the peptidoglycan is a type of polymer in bacterial cell wall consisting of modified sugar cross-linked by short polypeptide, and it includes the entire bacteria and other molecule which extend from its surface. Then differentiate between or compare photoautotrophy and chemoheterotrophy. I am sure we did this.
Can I give it a try?
Yes, sir.
The photoautotrophy are species that can manufacture their own food in the presence of light or sunlight. Then the chemoheterotrophy are species that for them to get their chemical energy, they need to take in some large pieces of food. They can't manufacture their own food.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, I second the guy.
Yes, yeah. I think today the gents we are winning. Ladies, what's happening? Why are you dropping the balls, ladies? Today is autotropho. You're right. Autotropho is an organism that harnesses light energy to drive the synthesis of organic compound from the carbon dioxide, in the most cases of water, and they feed themselves. Like you mentioned, they feed themselves and the entire living world, and the chemoheterotroph. And also, just check also the notes that we have in your notes. I think these notes are very fully furnished in your notes, and they are very diverse. You have a very diverse of your notes in that. and add more depending on how much they say the marks are. So if the marks are saying 10 marks, you're gonna have to explain more. You will have to explain more than. But if it's 4 marks, 2 points should be enough. 2 each per autotroph and 2 per chemoheterotrophy. We talked about the bryophytes and pteridophytes. So distinguish between the two. Remember we talked about the bryophytes? Yeah. Remember when I also project a picture of what bryophytes are, where you can find them in the place that you do your laundry at and all those kind of.
Okay, how I understand it is that the bryophytes are non-vascular. Yeah, and yeah, they are non-vascular and they have a gametophyte stage. And pteridophytes, they are vascular. The example of a pteridophyte, I would say it's a fan, and an example of a bryophyte is, I think, a moss. I'm not sure. And pteridophytes have they have roots.
Okay. And anybody else?
And their cells are diploid, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah. Diploid, and the differences between diploid and haploid and all that. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else?
Can I try, sir?
Yes.
Pteridophytes are vascular plants with xylem and phloem. Best via spores. And biophytes have no vascular tissues, while peridophytes have vascular tissues.
So one way that you can give the answers is like this. You can peridophyte are vascular plants with xylem and phloem that produce diverse via spores, and the bryophytes and gametophytes, while the dominant phase peridophyte is sporophyte. Bryophyte has no vascular tissue, while pterophyte has vascular tissue. You mentioned that, the first speaker. So that's one way that you can do. But this, you can, when you're distinguishing this, you are allowed to just list the characteristics. Remember when we did in the life cycle, the life cycle of bryophytes, list all those characteristics. I'm saying this in case if the question comes saying 10 marks for differences. So we will need to write more. So you can just list all those characteristics of bryophyte and characteristics of pteridophyte. Then you will get maximum marks when you are doing the characteristics of those particular distinguishing between bryophytes and pteridophytes. Okay, another one. I think this one you will excel on. This one you won't even mind me. Distinguish between pollination and fertilization.
I think pollination is the transfer of pollen grains to the stigma. Then fertilization is the fusion between the male and the female sex gametes, between that is the sperm and the egg when they fuse. So yeah, that's what I think. So.
Okay, sorry, man. Would also maybe get a point marks if you say pollination only occurs in flowers, while fertilization occurs in both plants and animals.
And animals, yeah. Yeah, I can. That sounds about right. Yeah.
And also for fertilization to occur, there must be male and female haploid. I don't know if I should say gametes to form a diploid zygote. So
yeah, you should delve into the think to say fertilization for it to happen, there have to be like a male and female. It's a strong statement to say. You should just rather, so that you avoid raising more questions where your examiner might put the acclamation mark to say you just have to include the fact that between meiosis and the and how do the binary fusion in terms of that, in terms of fertilization in that regards, and then you can explain it further in that regard.
Okay, and also to say now I'm thinking of like B taking and transferring everything like from one say file to another. Now I'm thinking about the saying pollination is a physical process, while maybe the other one is biological.
Okay. Okay. Where am I getting? I'm sorry, say on the chat box now. What happened? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm at work. No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Can we just go to the answer? But you guys are correct, by the way. Yes. So pollination is the process whereby pollen grains move from the anther to stigma on a flowering stud, while fertilization fusing gametes and male gametes into cell to new plant seed. Like what you were just saying previously, just now about the fact that male gametes and female egg into that pollination precedes fertilization and depends on such media as wind, water. So I think what you're trying to explain here about the physical process is this when that it is advanced by wind, water, and insects in that regard. And pollination take place externally, while fertilization occurs inside the flower and does not depend on external factor. I think that explains much more of your physical and biological sense. They're both, yeah, biological, but you can just also go to extra mile further and say like it take place externally while take place inside or internally, which depends on the 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 in the flower and does not depend on external vector. I just also make this just to give a clarity, because I know so here even this one would just pollination is an external process. Fertilization can either be internal or external. Pollination takes place before fertilization and fertilization occurs after. So pollination takes place before fertilization, after pollination occurs from anthers of stamens to stigma of the ovary. But the fertilization is the fission of a female gamete and a male gamete. And it's a physical process. You are right. Yes. And the other one is a genetic biochemical process. The pollination agent are wind, water, birds, insects, and other animals. Fertilization takes place by growing pollen tube within which enters the ovule. External factors are required, that external factors are not required in fertilization. Process leads to fertilization. This process leads to formation of seeds. The pollen tube is not required. The pollen tube formed for transferring the male gamete into an egg gamete. Pollination occurs only in flowering plants. Fertilization is followed by almost every fertilization followed by almost every living being present on the planet Earth, including plants, animals, birds, and insects, and humans. So yeah, in a nutshell, you were both correct, and I think this can also be helpful. You might want to look at this and use it to compare the with your notes. All right. I did ask this one time. Explain the process of osmoregulation. But this from your previous question papers.
I think osmoregulation is the process whereby solutions, the process of balancing the concentration of solids in a solution. Maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah, but I think so.
All right.
For instance, if we do have a higher pH or a higher more solids in a solution, the process of moving of the dilute from the other side of a membrane per se to make sure that to stabilize the concentration of solids, that process is called osmoregulation. That's what I understand, sir.
Yeah, he's correct. And maybe you can think of the electrolyte balance in a human body.
Okay. Yes, so the process of maintenance of salt and water balance in osmotic balance across the membrane within the body fluids, which are composed in water plus electrolyte, yes, and non-electrolytes. You just mentioned that electrolyte is a solid that dissolves, dissociated into ions when dissolved in water. But there are a variety of different description of osmoregulation. And when we talk about osmoregulation, also make sure that you also talk and know about the homeostasis, because somehow I think it will also surface that question about homeostasis in your exam. All right, then who was the father of plant nomenclature? A. Carl, I almost say Charles Darwin. Carl Linnaeus, okay, Carl Linnaeus, not Carl Linnaeus is a politician. Carl Linnaeus, Alfred Einstein, Sir David Attenborough. Who was the father of plant nomenclature?
I think it's B.
I think it's B. All right. Anyone else? Do you gents know what happened in sports? What do ladies watch even these days? Do they watch? What do ladies watch? Because I understand last week gents were angry because Manchester City lost and Kaizer Chiefs, no, and Sundowns lost. Yeah, but I think I can see gents are excited because Sundowns put an avenge. But ladies are down. I can't put my finger down as to what kept the ladies down and why are they not answering questions, because it's so quiet today. Anyone? There is B as an answer, which is Colonel Linnaeus.
I also think it's B, sir.
You also think it's B. All right. I think you guys are
I
right.
think
It's B. You thought it's B, right? B. Carl Linnaeus, 1707 to 1778. Why are scientific names more useful than common names? Okay, A. Anyone else?
it's A.
It's A. All right. They are unique and globally recognized. They're not easy to spell, that we know. Come on. They do sometimes change depending on where you are. I don't think you sound more intelligent when you're mentioning a scientific name, so the answer is A. What does binomial plant name consist of? A, genus and a variety, or B, a genus and cultivar, Or C, genus and specific epithet. Or D, Christian name and surname. Hallelujah.
C.
C, you said? She said C, right, guys? Her microphone was very low.
Yes, she said C, and I also
Okay.
seconded that.
Okay. Do we have the third person who will second them? Also second them.
Yeah, I second them with genus
Oh,
being the
okay.
first.
Cool. Easy, right? It's so easy. Okay, why do plants' name change from time? Look at me. Why did I do this? Come on. Did you guys know you were gonna say this one, right? You were gonna go
Let's
for C.
pretend like we didn't see it. You can ask it.
Okay. Why do plants' name change from time to time? Let's go from to make them easier to pronounce now, to refresh their brand. Come on. What are we? Are we like what do you call this? Respect my brand. South African celebrities? No. D, to annoy gardeners. No, we don't want to annoy our gardeners. Yeah, so it's C, to respond the advances in plant science. All right, yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. Just put this one here just to indicate these common names with a scientific name. One of the common names of the things that we know for plants, apple. That's the scientific name is Pyrus malus bamboo. The Bambamosa. Okay, I'm not gonna do brinjal. What is a brinjal, by the way? I don't know. I'm just asking. It's an honest opinion. I know apple, banana, yes, we know. Musa, paramodiscum, black gram, Polasis mungo, banyan, barley, black pepper is paper nigram, carrot, Dacus carona, cashew nut is Anacodium accidentale, clove, so Cygonium aromaticum, Caraneda is Caranedium sativum, cucumber is Cucumis sativus. Did any of you know any of this? Or do you have one that you knew?
Only apple.
Only apple. No, I mean the scientific name.
Yes.
You did.
Apple.
Yeah, okay, that's brilliant. Yeah. Okay. Which are the scientific common names of plants species, even tree? I'm sure that you will know most of the tree plant species, that you also know their scientific names. That's a question for everyone. For plant, by the way. I know most of you know about acacia. Acacia. The most common acacia, which is in the villages, is Acacia carew. There's acacia sea. There are different species of acacia. There's also Lantana camara. The marula tree is Scleroclyra birrea, I think. What, like, anyone who know any common plant species that you know its scientific name? No? And
Say,
yes.
I know E. rooibos. It is
Yeah.
called Aspalatus linearis.
Thank you. That's very informative. At least we know now. Yeah. Nice. Anyone else before we go to the animal ones? So we don't have smokers here. You guys don't smoke. Or you are fancy one who smoke humbly. We don't have like a proper people who smoke. Who be like, I know what this that I'm smoking is. It's cannabis. Cannabis. I have a colleague who is working on a project which involve the what do you call it? Daha. Dagga. What is Dagga in English? Why am I forgetting the name of the Dagga in English? You guys need to help me out. Yes, it's cannabis. Cannabis, yeah. I've got a colleague who's working on the cannabis project. Is fully flesh funded. I think that grant is like, yeah, it's got a lot of money in that grant that they're working on that. It's cannabis. Somebody said departure. In the comment, I'm reading what somebody wrote in your chat box. Yeah. So they are cannabis scientifically now. Yeah. Okay. Animals. The dog is Canis lupus, domestic dog. Canis lupus familiaris. Cat is Felis catus. Horse is Equus ferus calibus. Sheep is Ovis arae. Domestic pig is Scrofa domesticus. Goat is Capra. Agatarus hecus. Donkey is Equus. See, donkey and horse are from the same genus, Africanus. The camel is Camelus. Drometarus, black Trojan water. Buffalo is Bubulus. Bubulus. That sounds like a funny name, right? Anybody read this for me? The scientific name for water buffalo. You're not gonna get it wrong if it comes back, if you have read it. No volunteer to read for me. All right, let me pass on. And the cow is Bos Taras, and Indian elephant is Elephas maximamus, and the tiger is Panthera tigris, and all that. So these are just some common names. This is scientific names that you might come across to. Why does it? This helps in that when they're talking about binomial epithet, when they're asking about all of that. All right, can we move on? Or is there a question? List 4 advantages and 4 disadvantages of algae or algae. I know we haven't fully talked about the algae and these in details, but I'm sure you might have come across through it. Yeah. Anyone?
Okay, I know that I think this is a common advantage for most green plants, that it is capable of photosynthesis.
Mm.
Yeah, and the disadvantage that I can think of is that some algae can be poisonous.
Do we know what algae is?
An algae, isn't it? A plant-like thing that's in water, found in water.
Yes. You guys go. I'm scared that I'm talking to cheesy people who are in the city. You don't play in the river, but if you go to the river, right, you see especially the ones which are like slippery, and you'll find the green stuff, you see, which are slippery. Some you can call them disgusting and all that. Have you seen those? Anyone? If you go to the river, they like in the wall, they at the bottom of the river, in the river will have like a rocky thingy. Where do you go? If you are playing when you are young, if you just go and play in the rivers there, running around, if you're not careful, they can make you. They're like very slippery. Do you know what I'm talking about?
This one is scientific or not, but some people use to apply it on their skin.
Great, you are perfect. I like that one, because that's the point that I wanted to come to. Or most of the time when we see them in the river, we're like, you, they're disgusting and all that. But sometimes they are used for skincare by some people and all that. They're like those disgusting things that you see on the river that you don't wanna, man, you don't wanna go through and touch into that. Let me just go algae. It's YouTube. That's fast. All there. This is the one that I want to see. No, fast. You see this one? Can you guys see?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Have you come across this thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This disgusting thing, what people could say that disgusting. So they have benefits and disadvantages. And there are organisms that depends on these ones. The organism that they have presence for photosynthesis, like one of the students has shared and talked about, and there are some benefits that they have. So the question is, what are the disadvantages and advantages of this in here? And apparently people found this and they use this in cosmetics. Most of the ladies, they're not aware, but most of the things that you go and buy in the salon or whatever and apply your makeups on, it's from this. So you in some terminology in that regard. So advantages, they are rich in proteins, rich in minerals and nutrients. They can be used also as fertilizers for better crops. Different kinds are used in medication and cosmetics and livestock feed for poor pollution. So aquatic animals benefit from algae as it provides food. There are aquatic invertebrates that use them as food for microorganisms on which fishes can feed on. So aquatic invertebrates, they feed on algae, and the fish also feed on those aquatic organisms that feeds on the algae. So there's a balance for ecosystem there, and provide shade for aquatic animals, like what our sister just said now. That's a perfect. Thank you very much for that. So they provide like shade to aquatic animals so that they do those who are living in ponds and also enrich water with oxygen. The disadvantages. Yes, you wanted to add on that?
Okay, no. I wanted to add on the disadvantage. I said some I don't know if I should say species of algae can be toxic or poisonous. Also, on top of that, now I'm thinking that since we said it can be applied on skin, it can also cause rash and other allergic reactions.
Yeah. Don't all the cosmetic things does. Some people are like, yeah, Nivea is expensive, it's this and this. And people like, I get rash from your expensive Nivea and all that. Yeah, I'm sure even others getting their disadvantages like that. Yeah, you want to continue?
No, see, I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to give a bit of a disadvantage that they can have? So other disadvantages that sometimes they block sunlight, because so blocking sunlight here, it can favor other aquatic animals, but sometimes blocking sunlight blocks from reaching sunlight for aquatic plants also, which results in their death. And hair algae cause death for aquatic animal due to strangulation. Process of deriving biofuel from algae is expensive and cannot be taken advantage of. So there's a biofuel on this, but it's very expensive. It kills environmental beauty. Just by looking in that, you don't like that. You feel like it's, yeah, I don't like that. when you are looking just into those ponds. As the beauty of ponds is covered in algae, it looks dirty and very ugly. I think most of you, we can agree on that one, that it does not look like it. It looks like. Yeah. On that note, I think we're gonna stop here for today. I don't want to start with this one. Unless, do we want to give a try to this one? Describe the process of conduction, convection, radiation, and evaporation.
When talk of conduction, convection, and radiation, I'm thinking in terms of heat energy transfer. Like radiation, we can talk about the sun rays, the radiant heat from the sun, you know, or maybe just a heater, the heat that is being transferred. Conduction, I'm thinking of yeah, okay, I'm thinking of this because I did fire, and so it's you are burning a steel, you know, and then that steel gets hot, and then let's say a door handle, it gets hot, it's in contact with flames, and then you on the other side try to open, so the heat is transferred on solids. And yeah, then the convection is like smoke that is hot, you know, can think of inhalation vents.
All right, cool. Just a on an unrelated topic, what did you do in the fire? So are you one of those guys who can, if a fire ensued here, you will say, come down, I'm here, I will do the deeds?
Yeah. Although I'm not yet qualified to work there because I only did the basics. I'm not a firefighter.
Yeah. Okay. We will stay away. We will stay away from the fire then. We thought we were gonna play with fire because you are here and say we know somebody's gonna put down the fire. Okay. All right. Yeah. Anybody wanna give it a try? All right. So he's right. Conduction is the direct transfer of thermal motion, just simply in simplicity, and then between molecules of object in contact with each other, as well as, for example, when a lizard sits on a hot rock, so they're practicing conduction. That's it. Then convection is the transfer of heat by the movement of air or a liquid past a surface, as when a breeze contributes to a heat loss from a lizard dry skin. That's that. Or when blood moves from heat from the body core to the extremities. Then radiation is the emission of electromagnetic waves by all objects warmer than absolute zero. And for example, lizard absorb heat radiating from the distant sun and radiate a smaller amount of energy to the surrounding air. This is the one that you will think it will shock you because it's not exactly defined by how we view it. The evaporation is the removal of heat from the surface of a liquid that is losing some of its molecule as gas. On that note, I think we're gonna stop here for this week. Next week, when we continue, we'll continue with the life cycle of malaria, which we talked about. So next week we'll be starting with you guys telling us about the life cycle of it.
I was asking if you perhaps know whether the exam will be written or MCQ for both BLG 1501 and 1502.
What is MCQ again?
Multiple choice, or will it be written?
What I'm sure of is that it's gonna be online. I just got the 31st of May. It's BLG 1501. 6th of June is you guys 1502. But chances are that, yeah, you're right. It's gonna be multiple choice, most of them.
Is it usually one paper, sir?
You mean one paper for BLG 1502?
Yes, even for both, is it only one paper that we are going to write, or?
Yeah, it's gonna be one paper, one exam. Cheers, bye-bye.